All right, welcome back to the Department Podcast. Justin with Steve and Jesse. We're doing something a little bit different today, and we're still talking about sports, but a sports video game instead. And yesterday, Madden, the community manager Craylo and someone else, honestly, I don't even know their name. They dropped the most important part of what actually has become Madden as a whole now, is the Ultimate Team portion of the game. And it was an interesting live stream. I think it was about an hour and a half. They went over, general how Ultimate Team probably will work this year. And initial takeaways, it's going to be interesting if it lives up to what they're saying it potentially could be. Obviously, you have ability points, the MUT Master being Sam Mills, Level Master being Andre Johnson, team captains being Ed McCaffrey, Leroy Glover, but Eddie, did I say Eddie George? Eddie George Eddie George, and there's a third one. Aeneas Williams. So there was a bunch of content that they went over. So initial reactions before we take a deep dive into each thing here and there. What do you guys think about it?
It was a lot. It was a lot to take in, but all positive things in my opinion. Nothing I found really too negative. I like how it's different captains you can pick from. I like the choices for the master and all that stuff. I'm excited. It got me excited. It got me excited for Madden, which I can't complain about. So I'm very happy with what I saw yesterday.
Yeah, I thought for the most part they kind of built on what they already did last year. And it's always good to build as opposed to just taking things out of the game, giving more choices, giving more options, which seems to be what they're really focusing on this year, which I think is good. Going into this, I had my expectations a little bit lower because I really think next year, when they're fully on the next-gen console and everything, I think that's when we're going to get a really big Ultimate Team update. Yeah. So I was pretty surprised at how much they actually were putting into this year, that I think they are kind of test running for next year.
So the first thing that you touched on, Jesse, was giving the player more options. And we've seen, since they added training, 2 years ago, I believe, Clark, give or take?
Pretty recent, very recent.
When they added training, that's where they kind of started going into the RPG elements of upgrading players now. And that kind of expanded on with the new ability point system, where last year, abilities where you had your 3 players activated with your X Factor, and whatever players were activated, their 3 abilities were there, that's it. Now, they're kind of doing, if you've played Call of Duty, from at least the Treyarch games, the pick 10 system, where basically each ability has a point value, and right now you can have up to 10 ability points. They said they'd probably update it, which honestly makes sense because as the game grows and more players come a higher overall, they're going to want the better ability points. So having 10, mathematically just won't work for, even the minimum of 3 players. But right now, to start at 10, you can do 10 ones, 5 twos, 3 threes and 1 1. It definitely gives the option of it, but I think this is their way of keeping abilities in. But at the same time, if you're able to spread it out, you can combat people who have 3 abilities stacked up on 1 player to some extent, so they're not as game-breaking as last year.
Well, and the thing that I like the most about this is essentially you always had the same abilities on pretty much every – you had an ability on your quarterback, abilities on your running back, abilities on your wide receiver. That was it. And realistically, you only really tried to get 1 receiver involved because of the abilities that they had. So spreading this out, I feel like makes it a lot better for the entirety of the offense and the entirety of the defense. Instead of 1 player, really dominating the whole field, it seems like now there are different things you can do, because Madden over the past 2 years has really put that focus on, we want to make superstars feel like superstars. We want to make the gap between superstars and average players bigger, which I think they've done, but it's also nice that, let's say you can have a left tackle or a right tackle with a couple ability points, because last year, there was no reason to put abilities on anybody that wasn't quarterback.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Running back.
Are abilities going to work for other players that don't have an X factor now?
Yes.
I believe so.
So you can still have up to 3 X factors on each side of the ball.
But abilities do work on those non-X factor players.
You can still have them. Yes. You can still have them activated. So in theory, your three X factors on offense should be your quarterback, a running back, and a halfback.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to, you could put an ability on your left tackle, ability on your right tackle for, better pass protection.
Yeah.
And those could be, say, 2 points total out of your 10.
If they make it so that you can only put abilities on your X factors, this whole ability points thing was a waste.
Well, I'm pretty sure last year they didn't work on non-X factors.
Yeah,
you can put them on, but they didn't work.
But if they didn't activate with the X factor, then they weren't on.
Yeah, that was the problem.
This year is supposed to be different.
Okay.
I've seen
separated that.
Content creators say you can put 10 on one, or put
1 on 10
players.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think
I'm cool with that.
I think they emphasized that a little bit in the stream when they were talking about the X factor, the quick activate, deactivate menu on it, where I think you just have to hit Y. They said this is so you can toggle through your multiple X factors, but abilities I think they did say are separate. It should be, because if it's not, it's a waste of time.
Well, and something that can really help the balancing aspect later on too, if they want to go this route. They said X factors at the start of the game are going to be free. There's 0 points. But let's say an X factor becomes really overpowered. I'll just say Bazooka for whatever reason, because it's the first one that came to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
If Bazooka becomes really overpowered, they can then make it so that putting that X factor is 2 points or a point or something like that. So this, I think, can really help with the balancing aspect of better abilities and, overpowered kind of meta things can be fixed quicker so that the game just has a longer kind of shelf life.
And it's almost instead of having to go in and actually fix the ability where, maybe if the release factor for Gunslinger, not out fast enough, or it's too fast, they can just up the value of it so then less people might have it then. It could make a lot more faster changes just by adding a number in the code, I assume, than, having to retool an entire ability. So it'll be interesting to see how they, I would assume maybe each series is when they kind of up the value a little bit.
Yeah.
They already said with each series that's when they're upgrading the
Mutt Master.
That's what
it
was.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
It makes sense if they're updating, multiple things every series. That's going to be the big thing with Madden, and I think was the big kind of letdown so much as last year was there wasn't many updates, there wasn't many things that changed. In September, everybody was pounding the ball, running it 3 downs in a row. And at the end of the year in June, everybody was running the ball and just pounding it for, 3 straight downs.
And that's the thing. Maybe, First One Free or Freight Train, if those become ridiculously overpowered, make that a 3 or a 4 even, ability point fast.
You never know.
And then if that's the case, then it takes away from, say, offensive linemen. And, really where the ability point system will come really to see how people play with it is for us, especially because we play a lot of MUT squads, right?
Yeah.
Who's to say then from my squad, if, I'm running offense, just take everything off my defense and just throw it all on my offense then?
Well, isn't it 10?
It's 10 per.
It's 10 on each side?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know about special teams. I'm sure special teams will probably get 3.
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah.
But the customization is going to be interesting to see because,
fun.
You're definitely going to want the one where you can see the user linebacker, whichever one that is. I'm forgetting the name.
Yeah, it doesn't matter the name.
But you're definitely going to want a pass blocking one. If you run the ball a lot more, you're going to want it more on your offensive line and your tight ends.
Yep.
So that's really – I like that I like what they're doing with it. Now it just depends on how they put it in practice because they could say they're going to update values, but Jesse, it could get kind of out of hand. Say if they put in a new value, like a new ability or X factor, and they make that 0 – right off the gate and they raise it at that point, then everyone's going to have it. Kind of like how, remember when 2K tried to do salary cap?
I was just about to say. So, okay. This is the problem though with the 2K salary cap and the difference between the ability points. 1, 2K almost never updated the salary thing. So salary actually didn't matter. You could have a fully pink diamond lineup and be 2,000 under the cap. Because what 2K did was they would update the salaries after a month of a card being out. So the newest cards would have the lowest salary, and the newest cards were the most expensive. So you had to spend some money on them. So that was all just a cash grab towards the end. But the salary never even mattered that much throughout the year. The thing I'm scared about with Madden is if they just don't update it.
Oh, it's
Like
bound to happen.
there's a total thing in my mind that's like from maybe December till like March, they're just not even going to touch the ability cap points.
Yeah. It should definitely come by each series to at least keep it fresh. And they do, even with that, they should update, the value of certain things just to give it a little more replay value, or just so you can customize and screw around with lineups just to see what works.
Yeah.
Once again, it's good in theory. Now they just have to put it in practice, and just got to hope for that. Now, something that was the big fuss of everybody was the card art. And obviously the 50-50 right off the gate looked horrible. Now, looking at how they're doing it, it makes sense, and I really don't care. I like the side panel on it, but the big part, the 50-50 view of it will only move over when you're highlighted over the card.
Yes, I like that a lot because I like the 80-20 view, first of all.
Yeah.
I think it's very clean, very new. The name on the side, you get to see more of the player. Fine, beautiful, whatever. But as we've talked for months now, we saw the original 50-50 card art when like the rookie premieres went up for last year.
And it was bad.
But it makes sense, like you said, when you highlight over the card, and then you can see all their abilities, their X factors, what other chemistries you have on that player. So in theory, I'm glad it's just not the 50-50. So in theory, it's fine, and it's easier to see what this player has. So I'm okay with it. If after crapping on it like a couple months ago, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's fine. I'm not a huge, card art person, especially because I mostly started with 2K, and 2K's card art since
it's progressively gotten worse.
16 has not been good.
No.
So I do like the stats that they're adding in. I think that's nice.
Yeah, I do like the quick view of it rather than, having to scroll down the whole entire card. Just to find like hit power, hold right stick for about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I like the classic look of the franchise where it's just, here's everything. There you go.
Yeah. No, I like that.
And another thing I really like about it is they actually tell you what the type of archetype it is.
Yes, instead of having to actually look for it.
And they were kind of being a little taking jabs at it. We're like, see, just for here's another name of the archetype. It's like, well, that's great. I don't know. I can't tell what the icon is when they're overlayered with each other.
Right.
But I just wish they had certain archetypes can get certain X factors. I wish there's an X factor database that tells you, this archetype gets these, or this one gets that.
Maybe Mudhead will do it.
And also I feel like another thing with these ability points is, let's say you want to put an escape artist on a pocket passer. You can do that, but it's 4 ability points.
Like if you go outside the archetype.
But it's extra ability points, and maybe you do like half off ability points for something in your archetype. Like if you're an improviser, you get, escape artist for 2 points instead of 4 maybe, or something like that.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they do. And then the next one, obviously, what they announced was this year's Mutt Master, which is not a current player. We've sort of seen them change from the cover athlete to, Sean Taylor to Ryan Shazier to Pat Tillman. And that's kind of where they're going, where it's like
a tribute.
Like a tribute card almost.
That card
this
sucked.
one is Sam Mills. Ironically, we're all from William Patterson, and he went to our rival Montclair State. So it'll be a fun card, another linebacker. But the biggest knock on him is that he's a very short linebacker. And if jumping for linebackers is as minimal and non-existent as it was in the alpha, this card could very well be borderline unusable.
It's a backup. Honestly, it might be a backup. If you run a 3-4 defense, you need a backup middle linebacker to just have there chilling. So it might be just a backup, honestly, which sucks.
Yeah. I think usering also with the linebackers is going to be significantly worse this year. I think everybody knows that. And honestly, I'm not against it. I think those linebackers and like people using the ridiculous safeties, especially towards the end of the year, it was ridiculous. They could literally cover the entire field.
Yeah, and we saw with the beta too that we played a couple months ago that hit sticking is almost impossible now. You have to time it
Yeah.
too.
You got
So
to
that's
time it and line it up perfectly.
literally like because you used to just flick up the right stick and it would do
It
the
would
motion
do it.
automatically. Now it's like a 2-second delay, almost a 1.5-second delay before you have to time it. So there's not going to be many hit sticks. So I don't think hit powers going to matter as much, but he's still short. At the end of the day, he's still short. If jumping is a factor, not going to be.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think linebackers more so this year are going – I don't know if the height is necessarily going to matter as much because even if you're using them, I feel like, they're going to be covering the middle of the field, but they're not going to be doing all those things that they were supposed to before. So I don't know if a 5'9" linebacker and a 6'1" linebacker are going to necessarily feel that much different as opposed to other Maddens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he might be a usable card depending on, what they do.
I'm going to miss Shazier.
It's honestly, it's good that it's, a card of relative depth, and it's always good to have a linebacker.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, he's a good special teamer.
There you go.
So
my rookie premieres are special teamers right now.
Yeah, basically. And on the level side of things, Andre Johnson is the level up master, so that is another legend coming back into the game. Same thing where it's always good to have a wide receiver. We saw last year people had Torrey Holt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to complain about it.
He's big too, so that's going to be
Mm-hmm.
fun. If they put Moss back in the game, if they have that factor, he's going to be dirty. He's going to be dirty. I love that. I love that addition to the game. He's back. I love it.
And then I kind of want to keep on the theme diamonds or whatever the team affinity type of players that they're going with, because it's kind of the same thing. All of them are 32 returning or new legends of players. Bob Sanders, Asante Samuel, are coming back. So I'm happy that these players then are, throwback players. And because the biggest thing on like Madden, the knock on them was, you got 2 legends a week. That was it. While games like MLB, or 2K, you have full legends from like whole teams at times.
Yeah.
So I think this is them trying to expand their horizon, especially now. Like we're getting older, so it's nice to see players who are legends, like for us at least.
We grew up
coming back into the game.
Like the fact that they put like Aaron Rodgers as a Legends card last year just made me feel old.
Von Miller was a Legends card
too. Yeah, you're right. It's just people like you said.
It's just I don't like Legends cards of players that are still playing. Unless they're like well past their prime, like that I can understand. But I don't know. Like I don't love Legends Aaron Rodgers. I don't love Legends, like a Legends Clinton Portis is much better than like a Legends Frank Gore, I guess.
And like especially for us, like I know for me, I found it like in MLB, I'll play with players who are like old like when we started getting into sports, so it's kind of like we're getting to play with them now since we never got to when they were in the league. And then I found that with 2K also, to have cards like a Dante Hall, Eric Weddle even back in the game, Bob Sanders, Elvis Dumerville,
Keith Miller,
Justin Smith, David Deal, Charles Johnson, those are good players of recent that we're at least interested enough to use. Because quite frankly, like when we get the old ass legends,
I don't care.
I don't really care.
I don't care
because I have no connection to them.
No, in general though, I kind of prefer to just play with modern guys in a way. I don't know if that's just me, but I just love playing with like new guys and people I've never played with before. Like I'd take, say if Andre Johnson wasn't the master or whatever, I'd take an OBJ over Andre Johnson just because I love playing with like guys that I see every week on TV. I just think it's more fun for me personally. See, I saw this guy do good in week 4. Let's put him at my starting cornerback or something. I don't know. But I just love using modern guys. But hey, the new legends, I can't complain. More players in the game, more diverse teams. I can't complain about that.
For me, the cutoff is if they have a face mask or not. That's when I care if they're on my team.
Otto Graham?
Yeah, having literally like a knight helmet on his head. So let's talk about then, similar to leveling up, are the team captains. We went over it before. Different options, but Madden legend Eddie George is coming back, so everyone's going to have a stacked running back. So that is going to be a problem.
Just think, if you pre-ordered the game, you have Lamar, you got Eddie George, you're doing this option plays now, you're fine. You're fine for the beginning of the game.
Well, even if you don't get Eddie George, NFL Epics Peterson
that
looks pretty much exactly like him. That's
Yeah.
why I'm not getting George.
But see, I kind of like where the game is already kind of going, where it's giving you multiple options to build your team.
Yeah, you don't see the same team every single guy you play online, every single cheeser virgin you see online.
Like
Like-
Clark, I was texting you about MLB, where basically now they're in the end game and they still have 6 months of the game's life cycle.
Insane.
But
They
at
don't
that-
have 6 months left. They don't care.
Well,
They're moving to Madden, and then
but see, that's why
they're going to run Madden for probably about 4 months, and then they're going to tell everybody to get MLB again.
But see, that's why at least they're in the end game now, getting up to Madden, because at this point you're getting the cards you want to play with, and no two teams are similar.
Yes, exactly. That's what I like.
So right now, like, yeah, everyone's gonna have Lamar, but like, yeah, and Andre Johnson, but that's
That's it.
that's par for the course. But like, I might take Andre Johnson, Eddie George, Jesse, you might take Ed McCaffrey and have another 6'5" receiver. Clark, you might take Leroy Glover for some reason, but but what's nice about the captains, what I noticed, they start at 87, and you only have to upgrade them with tokens. You don't need training to get them from a gold card to an elite card.
And I think you have to mention too, 32. They have all the teams.
Yeah, that was fun.
So you can run them in theme teams.
That was fun going through the Mutthead
Yeah,
blog. There were like 2 pages of just one
32
player.
of them.
Missed Mudhead. That was nice.
But I definitely like that, especially if they make it easier to get training, or at least not as expensive for certain things, then training's fine.
Yeah.
The fact that a captain card you need almost at the time, like, to quick sell like 200K worth of training is ridiculous.
I agree.
So just to get rid of that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's all about the options now, really. It's just how well they give you how much content they give you right off the bat.
Yeah.
Because I'm worried of, we're not in college right now. Jesse, you're doing college from home, basically. If you blow through solo challenges fast, what else are you going to have to do? That's why, like, things like the yard, KO, the franchise, those modes need to be good, but also the gameplay needs to be good too. And it can't just be a running fest where, here we go, all right, load the box, blitz again.
Yeah.
It can't get stale fast is the biggest issue that happened with 20, where the gameplay was repetitive and the content was minimal at times.
By November, most people checked out.
Basically.
Oh, I went back to MLB in October.
Yeah.
Yeah. No words. I agree.
It got really stale. Well, and again, last year, I think they really lacked on the content, and they really lacked on just even telling people when things were going to come out.
Yeah,
like Journey 4 dropped, and
no one cared.
Not even that nobody even cared. Nobody knew.
No one could use that card at the same time too that they were giving out if you complete the journey. Was it like an 88 Michael Thomas or some crap?
Yeah.
Oh well, that was Journey 1. By the time Journey 4 came out, it was like 96 David Johnson.
Yeah.
But at that time, people still can't even use that.
But see, that's where they need to scale the content to what else they're releasing. At that point, there were 97, 98 overall running backs that were far better, so there was no point to get the David Johnson.
I agree.
They had already, at that point, Golden Ticket Bo was out. I mean, the running back position was already stacked.
And that's where
nothing David Johnson was giving.
And that's where I almost hope they scale progressions through the series throughout the year. Going back to MLB, because quite frankly, they're probably one of the best content-producing sports games, if not the best. Stage 1 is winter, where it's, nothing's higher than like a 93. Stage 2 is 93 to 95. Then stage 3 is, 95 to 97. Then stage 4 is, all 99s. You need to progress that way so the game is good. You can't dump overalls higher than cards that you're going to release later on, because then no one's going to go back and get them.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I think, a problem that Madden has had, and I would say 2K has had as well, where it's, you try to rush these like high overall players out, and then you're just constantly trying to outdo yourself.
Yeah.
So by the time the Super Bowl comes around, the game is over. Everybody's already pretty much got like a 99. Like, it's insane. And I think MLB does it the best way, where they're just transparent with it. They're like, hey, the cap is 93. What 2K will do is, if pack sales are down, they'll throw in an Amethyst Tracy McGrady. Yep. That is when you can always find out when 2K is throwing in the towel, is when Tracy McGrady hits packs.
Speaking of packs, this year, limited time bosses are gone to an extent where you're getting 2 legends. Usually you get 2 legends and then a third limited time card. This year they're doing it different where it's 2 legends per week, but then each of those cards have their own boss card, which is the equivalent of if you put the base card into the power-up.
And it gets the extra abilities, but eventually if that card does get another upgrade,
you need the base
from
card
like
to go into the
97
power-up.
to 99, you need the power-up card.
Okay.
I'm not going to pull a limited time card anyway or be able to afford it right off the bat, so it really doesn't matter to me anyway.
We know what you're doing when we get the game. You said you're putting some cha-ching to EA's pocket.
Well, that's a given, but Clark, you'll get there too, don't you worry.
Oh, stop it.
So the final thing, as our timer's running low here on Zoom, the final announcement and the most important one is that the cross progression, it will be seamless. And even if you want to go back and forth between, say, Xbox One to Xbox Series X, it'll live at the same time. So it'll update in real time on one console to the other within the family. So it won't go from Xbox to PS5 or vice versa.
Fantastic.
If you're in the same family of consoles, that's a lot better than what they did originally from 360 to the 1 and the 3 to the 4, where basically you had to transfer everything and make your team NAT or sell your team and then transfer the coins to your account to rebuild the team on the next gen. So they're handling it a lot better. Thank God.
That's it. Thank God. Exactly. Because I'm not trying to lose my team. I've been grinding for months now once I get the new Xbox. So thank God is right.
And good on them for just saying it outright rather than 2K where it was literally a whole puzzle. Like you're literally like Charlie Day from Always Sunny in Philadelphia trying to figure out how what pre-order worked so you didn't get screwed over and lose your team.
Literally a maze of like words that we're just trying to figure out for 2K. That's why I still waited for 2K.
And people eventually figured out 2K did not help.
Oh no!
Like, if you asked, they were like, "Well, come on, you're stupid. It's pretty easy."
Come on, Ronnie.
And it's like, no, it's not. It's not. It was very confusing. I think it's good that Madden is switching everything over. I wonder when we're getting the new console because the more rumors keep coming out, it's looking like early November as opposed to later November.
And that's not even a holiday at that point. That's literally Halloween.
Well, you also got to think Black Friday, at least in person, is done. It's gone.
Yeah.
Target, Walmart, Best Buy, all that. They all said they're not doing in person Black Friday.
Stay home.
They can do online, but hey, I'm all for it. If they can put it out a little bit earlier, and then especially even for like parents buying it for their kids and stuff for Christmas, if you give them 2 months to acquire it instead of 1, it really, I think, helps the shipping and the supply and demand of it.
Well, who knows the Postal Service by then, come November.
No, you're right.
But, I already got the money ready and set aside to give it to Microsoft, so they just need to give me a time and date.
Just need to give a pre-order.
I agree.
But one thing they didn't say, which
like
doesn't surprise me, is that it's not cross-play, because we're starting to see a lot of games go cross-play within, you can play with someone on Xbox who's on PlayStation 5, something like that. And they haven't hinted at that, and I don't think they will.
No, not yet.
No, they're not putting resources into that yet. Probably at least, I would say, a year or 2 minimum away from that.
Madden 25, like the real Madden 25, not the old Madden 25.
Yeah, it's gonna become a complicated. That's like around the corner too.
They're gonna call it like Madden X or something.
Yeah, or XXV or something.
When Madden 25 originally released, I kind of looked at what actual Madden 25 would be. I think it would be like the 36th Madden, like as.
Madden 36.
Madden 36.
Yeah. So. I don't know, but
they'll just call it Madden.
It was
probably.
Yeah, it was a good stream though. But at that point, it's almost 20 plus years removed. No, it would be. I don't know. That's the math. It'd be.
John Madden cover for that one. I'm with it.
But it was a good stream. Definitely gave more information. A lot more. Just kind of after it kind of came out, just kind of digest it. So EA Play starts, which was formerly EA Access, starts tomorrow, where you get 10 hours of it, and then launch comes on Tuesday. No, not tomorrow. Well, they said either the 20th or the 21st.
21st.
They even kept saying, we don't know the dates.
At midnight.
Yeah.
They said.
So technically tomorrow, if you're posting this tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes.
So Friday.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
Friday.
I gotta get my Xbox
10
back.
hours.
You need to get your Xbox back.
But I'm glad it's finally here, and
Yeah,
I
me
just
too.
hope there's a football season because I don't trust Madden and EA to make content if there's no football season.
No
'Cause
team of the week stuff
Because
then?
MLB really
Oh.
bided their time by doing like throwback content and just constantly updating stuff. I don't trust EA with that at all. So
Neither
there
do
needs to be
I.
a football season.
Yeah, team of the week is gone basically then, because that's their program that goes throughout the whole season. That's
Yeah.
there'd be this heavyweights and like veterans
They
and
could do
all that
spot. They could
garbage.
do kind of what 2K did with simulation, like simulate the weeks and whoever has a big game make cards like that.
That's not a bad
It's
idea.
not terrible.
Let's just hope that doesn't happen.
Let's not get to
Well,
that point.
And
Exactly.
so far, I'll say this: Madden Mobile's content has been very good.
I started playing it last night.
They are pumping out content. Like they have like 3 different programs going on right now.
Wow.
It's pretty insane.
Yeah,
So
mobile, baby.
hopefully they'll take some notes from Madden.
So in closing though, how are we feeling though for Madden?
Excited. I'm excited. I needed a new Madden. I was sick and tired of playing the other one because I don't have many games for Xbox. I only play sports games. So I'm excited. I'm excited to just grind and hopefully, like you said, the gameplay is good and we're all happy.
Yeah, I think it's solid. They're not reinventing the wheel here. They have a good foundation. They're building off of it. So, it didn't need an overhaul, especially this year. But I think they're building some more foundational pieces to even look ahead for the future. So I think it'll be a solid year.
And if they just don't punt in like mid-December, it won't be bad. And that was the biggest issue where it was clear that they were just either had no idea what to do or burnt out and punted on it. So
especially like after the Super Bowl, even I'd even give them to that.
brutal.
It was just dead after that.
Playoffs were
They
terrible.
didn't do anything from Super Bowl till draft.
Literally
nothing.
Because real quick, you can kind of gauge how this content is going to be for this year by Halloween to Thanksgiving to Christmas, the playoffs, the Super Bowl, and the draft. If the first 3 are bad, it's going to be a rough year.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how you can set the tone. So only time will tell. But Clark, 2-minute drill, hit us with the outro.
Oh, baby, let's get it. All right, before I get into all that, we have a big week ahead of us. All right, we have a lot of episodes we're going to be filming this weekend and probably a sports one coming up this week. But TakeOver 30 is on Saturday. We'll be filming a reaction video after that. SummerSlam's on Sunday. We'll be filming a reaction video after that. So please subscribe because we're putting out lots of content all week long. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Subscribe to us Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to us on Spotify. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Department_podcast. Please just subscribe, follow. Anything helps. Thank you guys for listening to the show. We'll see you in the next one.